everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Indie Film Cafe Spotlight. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got my co-host here. How you doing, Paulie Pressnza?
I'm doing just fine, also known as the Moo Cow with the Continuity Monkey.
All right. And we've got our special, awesome guest here. I haven't interviewed him since, dear Lord, a long time. It's been a while, since the Blog Talk days. But please welcome Victor Bonacore. How you doing, Victor?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here.
All right, we're happy to have you. So as I said, we've known each other since we were talking earlier. We've known each other since like the MySpace days. So that's when I like started my my show, and I think you were on early in my starting of my show and stuff. You and Ruby LaRocca and a bunch of other people that I was.
Ruby LaRocca.
Yeah. So you have been like around for a while. So how long have you been a filmmaker?
Since I was a little kid, I started making movies. Like, it's that cliche story, but it was real. I got a camcorder for Christmas on my I was 11 years old, I think, and I just started making I started doing reenactments from my favorite movies, and then I did like a Psycho ripoff thing, and
nice.
And then me and my bro, it was over a Christmas break. And when you're in like elementary school, like Christmas break feels like forever. It just feels like it's like, oh, this is awesome. So my cousin stayed with us for like what felt like a week, and we just made a movie. We made a horror movie on a VHS-C camcorder.
Nice.
And it was just the most fun I ever had. And
a short or a feature?
It was a short. It was like maybe like 15, 16 minutes or something. But it was like edited, like I would edit it like on the VCR. I remember hooking up like the red, yellow, white cords and like kind of editing somehow, like rewinding on the camera, and then I don't know, but somehow I edited it. And yeah, I found all that shit recently, and I put it in a short film that I made called
nice.
Triangle. And I just used like all my home video movies that I made with like my brother and my sister, and just I was like, well, why not?
I gotta know though, you brought this up, but you said that you did like Psycho reenactment. Which scenes?
Well, the first thing I ever did is I set up the camera on a tripod, and I would dress up, and I did The Godfather. I was Marlon Brando, like hosting it. So I was like, oh, I'm the Godfather, and I put grapes in my mouth to like everything.
Nice.
And I put a suit on, and then I was like, and then the first one I did was I just put a black turtleneck on and did Anthony Perkins at the end. I just like butchered the monologue. I just did it as I thought I knew it. And it's pretty funny. I did The Shining. I did these like classic movies, but I started branching out that time to like watching other stuff. And for some reason, I really liked the movie The Pope of Greenwich Village with Mickey Rourke. And that's in there. Like, it's like The Godfather, The Shining, and The Pope of Greenwich Village.
I bet it was still better than the Gus Van Sant shot-for-shot remake.
Oh, of Psycho? Yeah.
Probably
oh
much
my God.
better.
I was talking about that recently because I think my sister is dating Anne Heche. I probably shouldn't have said that, or whatever, but I love my sister. But yeah, so I think she's dating her now, and I like brought it up as a joke recently. I'm like, oh my God, when I meet her, I'm so bringing like my VHS of the Psycho remake for her to sign.
Nice. Man, so yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, so you've had you had a good start to your career doing a lot of shorts and a lot of stuff with your friends. And then when was your first feature?
My first actual feature was the documentary I did on Jim Van Bebber. That's the first one I ever finished. Okay. So I started doing Blood Wings before that, but I never finished that. And that was going to be a feature, but I'm actually going to put that out. It was like a 16 millimeter film we made. in Jersey with Ruby and Joey Smack and Linnea Quigley, and we just never finished it. Like, a lot of people passed away that worked on the film and were in it, and it's hard to go back to that stuff sometimes. But I think now so many people have, even more people have like passed away recently. I'm like Johnny Link, who was like an awesome. Remember him?
I love John.
Johnny was like the coolest guy, man. He was like this just crazy. He wasn't even like a human. He wasn't like, he was just like this guy, but he was awesome. And he just died, and it was just sad. And I was like, man, I just got to edit together whatever that shit is and put it out, because it's just sitting on a hard drive for 12 years, And
I think I interviewed him back in the day because I think like when I had like Sam Qualiana and Michael O'Hare and all those guys, like John just came on, because you remember Blog Talk, you could do like call-ins, and everything. Right. I just had him call in, and it was I just remember John just like, he would just talk, and you just like, you were like, okay, like you couldn't ask him questions necessarily.
No. I did a documentary on him that it was like a short documentary, but I'm going to release that too at Blood Wings. And it was like him in his house, and he lived with his 99-year-old mother and his brother, who was like a scrap metal, like hoarder guy. And it was just crazy. And, so I'm just going to release that too. And it's just a short little documentary. But Johnny would like literally do hypnosis. Like, we would be interviewing him, and he would try to put us like, he would do like some like black magic shit. Like, he'd like look at you and say some weird stuff. And I'm like, what's going on? But so that I filmed some of that. And anyway, Johnny ruled. And
John's like the to me, I think of him as like the David the Rock Nelson of just acting.
Just acting, like totally. He would practice his lines all day, and then he would do it the same way every single time. Like, he would walk around doing the line and practice it, but it would be the same exact thing all day, and then he'd just do it exactly how he practiced it on camera. Yeah, he took it seriously,
Well, was that difficult as a director to like, because then you can't really tell, did you have to tell him, okay, John, you got to change it up a little bit, like, or whatever, or did you just let him be?
You know what? Johnny's one of those guys I kind of cast knowing exactly what I'm going to get, Okay. So I'm like, I kind of like, I directed on what to do, and you got to be clear with him, but he was, it's like, just Johnny, go do it, Johnny, just do it the way you're going to do it. Cause I feel like, there wasn't a lot of leeway, but he was great at what he did.
And Paul, it looks like you're looking like you want to ask a question. So I don't want to.
Well, I do, but it has more to do with the current film as opposed to some of the older stuff. Because John's obviously more familiar with your background and your older stuff, and I'm not. Whereas I was very, very interested in Thrust, the new production.
Yeah.
I saw the trailer and I was like, wow. So I'm curious as to how you kind of went from your thing that you were talking about with The Godfather, and how that sort of meandered your way all the way up to what this latest production. First thing I thought when I saw the trailer was like, it's like Mad Max meets The Warriors if John Waters had shot it.
I love all of that so much. I have John Waters like tattooed on me.
Outstanding.
He's an obvious influence, of course, and so I wear that with a badge of honor, what you said. But that's awesome. Thank you. I'm super stoked to talk about Thrust. So whatever you guys want to hear. That's the newest thing. It's Thrust was I don't know if you ever heard of Hannah Neurotica.
I knew Hannah. I used to know Hannah back in the day.
Okay.
I don't know why we haven't talked in forever. I don't know if she's even on social media anymore.
I don't know if I don't think she's on there much. She's like, does that, she does a Woman in Horror festival.
Oh yeah, that's right.
and she's pretty involved with that. But I talked to her time to time, and yeah, so she had this like, she was just like a really cool. She had a zine back in the day that she would do movie reviews in and stuff. And she like interviewed the Soska sisters like very early on, and was just really cool, and interviewed us, and then was like, oh, I have this story I wrote called Shit Fucked, a vile love story.
Nice.
And she's like, I'd love you to read it and maybe make a movie. Or I was like, that's awesome. So I read it and I fell in love with it. It was like 10 or 11 pages, like, you know, not written like a script, just like a short story. And it was just awesome. The characters is what stood out. They're like, the names were like, the two lead actresses are Aloe and Vera, or characters. And then the bad guy's Dirtbag Mike. And then the kid who's like trying to hang out with the two girls is Punk Kid. And the way I read it was like almost like adults, but like just kind of super youthful, you know what I mean? And like living in this crazy apocalyptic world. And I just
so it is post-apocalyptic.
Totally, it's post-apocalyptic, but it's, you know, run by like lady gangs. And so it's like, yes, it's a little more polished. It's nicer. It's
I was going to bring up Switchblade Sisters too. That's another kind of feel I got off of that.
Savage Streets,
Switchblade
Sisters. I love this movie called Blood Games. You guys ever see that?
I remember. It's been a long time, but yeah,
it's like it's hard to get. It's really cool too. It's another like girl gang movie at like camp, and it's awesome. Mm-hmm. On the cover, all the girls got baseball bats.
Nice.
Yeah, and but yeah, Thrust never did the crowdfunding thing before, and I was like, you know what? Let's try it out. What do we got to lose? We're not getting any younger, and you know, as we all know, it's been a crazy couple of years, and we're getting old. I'm going to be 38 in like a month, and
oh man, please. I'm gonna be 56, man.
Well, you will. It's, you know, it's like, it's crazy, and so you're like, I've got no more time to waste. Let's try this out. Let's make a movie. Let's, you know, go low. I didn't want to like go too high, and like I wanted to be reasonable. And I thought 20. I think we tried to raise 15.
15.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? And that was very low.
That's reasonable. That's a very reasonable sum.
I was like, you know what? Because I didn't have much to show. I got like, I've done stuff here and there, but I'm like, you know, I've always had problems with distribution and stuff like that. So I don't think my stuff has reached my Van Beber doc did pretty well. Like, I think, you know, a lot of people saw it, and that's cool. But so I was like, let's shoot low, you know, and then if we do good on this time, if Thrust is successful and we finish our, you know, campaign, and we follow through with everything, and we send everyone their Blu-rays and their posters that they ordered, and then people are happy, and they see that they got a good product, that we didn't just like fart something out, like, then next time it'll be easier to make a movie, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but you see these like guys nowadays that just, they make movie after movie. Like they, you know, they'll make one Indiegogo, then they'll like, you know, maybe 2 or 3 months later after they finished the movie, maybe they'll go and start another Indiegogo before even finishing the first one. And so
yeah,
it's really nice to hear that you actually, you know, are you know, finishing up your project before starting a new one.
Well, the other thing too is you guys have an advantage. You got some names in your cast, none the least of which are Aaron Brown, which, you know, that name alone is going to bring out all the fanboys and open up their wallets. So that was a huge get. And then you add in the fact that she's also a really, really great indie actress. She's certainly one of my favorites. I mean, you can't go wrong.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah. And Erin was supposed to be on tonight, but her throat was hurting her, and you know, you can't take any chances these days. So she's just resting up and drinking some ginger.
We'll get her another time, hopefully.
She said she wants to come on. So we were saying maybe her and Allison.
Yeah, Allison Egan, who, You're very surprised. I'm
Dustin
gonna tell
Mills.
you, I know a lot of your freaking cast.
Yeah.
Brittany Blanton, L Church, Scarlet Storm. Let's
Yeah.
go through all the people I know. That's not it. There was somebody else. CD Tate. I love
Oh
her.
yeah. Sadie and
Uh,
Brian, her husband's
Brandy.
in it.
Oh, really? Okay, Brian.
Yeah.
Oh, Brandy Noir. Good God. Yeah. All the other people, I feel like I heard of them. So if I'm not friends with them, I at least have seen something that they've done.
Right, right. Yeah, a lot of them are working actresses or actors and
Yeah.
or artists and yeah, no, but like Brittany's a neighbor. She lives in Dayton too, and she's awesome. And I met her on an independent film and we just like, got along. She was really cool and
She was.
she's very reliable. She's like one of those actresses that just she's there, she's always great,
And I want to just shout out real for a quick second and say, big ups for East Coast indie films. I'm always ready to help support that because, it's a small, tight grip community. Everybody kind of knows each other a little bit here and there. And it's great. We don't quite have the resources that they do out in LA. So
Right
it's
on.
great to see more East Coast indie film being made.
No, I love it. And I'm from New York originally, and I, made films there too. And I worked at Media Blasters in New York and got the New York movie making experience somewhat, but filming in Ohio and the Midwest and the East Coast, I like out here is cool because it's like, I especially with Thrust, I was like, I want to do everything legit. So we got a lot of locations, and every location we scoped out and we tracked somebody down and we're like, can we film here? And I either traded doing a commercial for them, for their business, or throwing them $100. And a lot of the times the people were like, don't worry about it. It's cool.
That's
Just,
great.
yeah, like people were cool and happy to help. And you just, but it was awesome. And it was like, you got to pull a lot of favors sometimes. So I like to follow through too. And you make sure you don't forget those special thanks in the end credits. And,
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially if you're going to shoot indie. I can't imagine what hoops you'd have to go through in order to shoot something like that in LA. Just to get permits and
oh my God, insurance. Yeah.
The traffic alone, getting everybody together. I mean, my goodness, because it seems like you have a pretty big cast.
Yeah. And that's a cool thing about like where I live now too, because I feel like Ohio, being the Midwest, it's easy to get people from Pennsylvania and Indiana and West Virginia. And there's a lot of good people in Ohio. And so it's, everything is somewhat within driving distance. Chicago's only like 5 hours away. Pittsburgh's not far. So it's cool. But yeah, a lot of people were local, like Allison's in Toledo. So she's like 3 hours away. But yeah.
Virginia's not that far away. You guys should come on down for Scares That Care.
Hell yeah. When's that?
The last weekend in July.
Oh, right on. Is that kind of what like Horror Find became?
Yes, absolutely. So
okay, cool.
Joe Ripple, who runs Scares That Care, the charity and everything, he actually used to help out a lot with Horror Find, which is where you and I met there at Horror Find.
Was it Horror Find? That's probably correct. Yeah.
It was. I remember that exactly. I remember Ruby giving me the biggest fucking bear hug that I've ever. Like she like literally lifted me off the ground. And so I loved meeting you guys there and everything.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. It's been a while. It's been 12
That's
years,
crazy.
Yeah,
that is a long time. Yeah, man. I remember going to that convention. I think I was working Media Blasters. I think that's why we were there. Yeah. And I forgot what movie they were pimping. Late Fee, maybe. Maybe.
Oh, maybe. Like, I think of that name sounds familiar.
Wicked Lake, one of those or something. And but I remember being like afraid of Joe Ripple because he was like the scary security guard. And then I saw him in a documentary about Don Dohler. and I didn't know
Yeah.
they knew each other. Yeah, did you ever see it? It's really good.
No, but I know Don actually used to produce a lot of Joe's old movies, which for the
Yeah.
longest time since I've known Joe, like, because I live in Williamsburg where the this Scares I Care actually takes place.
Oh,
So
cool.
I will in Virginia, Williamsburg, Virginia. So I would go there. It's just a simple drive down the road, and
Oh,
everything.
right on.
But I've known Joe actually before then. I think I met him at Horror Realm in Pennsylvania,
Oh,
um,
okay.
and stuff. But I did not know he was a filmmaker for the longest time until
I
like
know.
recently. I was going on oldies.com and I came across one of his films and I
Yeah,
bought it, of course.
yeah, they're fun, man. They're funny. Like, and if you could check out that Don Doller doc, it's called Blood, Boobs, and Beasts.
I've
Nice.
heard that title.
I
That
think
sounds
Trauma. I think Trauma might have actually put it out.
okay.
Yeah, that was from John Landis is I think is the guy that coined that phrase talking about shooting in the Philippines, that those
Prop.
are the three
Yeah,
B's that you needed in order to do a successful independent film.
Yeah.
that sounds right. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
funny, but I
and
gotta check that out.
it's
I didn't
good.
know about that documentary. Maybe it's on Trauma Now, which we were just talking about earlier. You
Or
know,
yeah, that's true. And everything's on Tubi now, so
it's true.
which I love Tubi.
So you're excited because I bet your movie will be on Tubi at some point.
Dude, that's like a goal. That is a goal.
Now that's what I love. I love talking to indie filmmakers who just love indie filmmaking. You
Oh,
know,
hell yeah.
like
Right
some
on. No, I
some
love it.
people would rather, they're only doing it as a way to get higher up and move on. But you are like a true like indie filmmaker, like
Right
you
on.
really want to do that. And I think that's awesome.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
Cool, man.
absolutely. You know me, I can't stand Hollywood and I can't stand the establishment and all that stuff. I am much happier swimming down there with the indies because that's where you're only going to get your honest movies anymore. You know what I
yeah.
Yeah,
mean?
that's true.
You're not going to get anything from Hollywood other than what they're looking at to make money at, and they're not taking any chances. At least some of the indie film productions that are out there, if they're swinging and missing, at least they're trying. At least
Yep.
they're going for interesting stories and new stories and things that you're not going to see anywhere else, and that's the kind of stuff we like to support.
Awesome. Yeah, hell yeah. No, that's awesome. I always said like it'd be really like I love doing like I want to be on more public access shows. Like I want to like do that shit. And I was like, I would love to be on the back of like, when you go to like it used to be more Kmart than Walmart, but Kmart used to sell those like 15 pack like DVD
Mhm.
like and on the back it'd be all these like but movies from like 2004 and 7. And man, I got so many of them, and
Blood Predator.
there were some movies on there that are so incredibly like bad, but like also charming, and and like, but then there's some surprising ones that are like, wow, that was cool. I see what they were doing, and they had nothing. But regardless, I'm always entertained. I want to be like on one of those. Like, I want to love to have a film like just sneak it on one of those like send it to like Mill Creek. I think it's like
Yeah, Mill Creek or
Well, I hope you get a chance to listen to our show because those are exactly the kind of shows we like to spotlight on Indie
hell
Film
yeah.
Cafe.
I love
so
that stuff, man.
so he was mentioning earlier when you were saying that the thing, and we both kind of looked at each other when you said it, because we did a movie called Blood Predator that Paul picked for
Cool.
Indie Film Cafe. That was actually, yeah, it was so ridiculous, but it was in one of those packs. It's in a bunch of those packs actually.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's you can just pop it up. So I bet you might have seen it. Who knows? It's
Yeah, I gotta check that out. That was on Tubi.
No, I don't think it's on
Oh.
Tubi.
I don't think it's on Tubi, unfortunately.
Oh,
It
okay.
should be
What's
on
it called?
Tubi. It's called Blood Predator. It's
Blood
on one of those.
Predator. Jerry Cohn is actually in it.
Nice.
Jared Cohn, who went on, he's got a very successful career now as a director, but he was an
Wow.
actor in that, and so he, just a small part in it, but still, significant. And I think it's amazing to look back at that at those packs and see, like, you're right, like 15 movies. Some of them may be like terrible and unwatchable, but some of them may be just fun and goofy and silly.
Yeah, and you get all kinds of stuff in there. I mean, I remember seeing, some of the what's his name? Clownator director. I don't know why
Todd
my brain
Sheets.
doesn't work. Yeah, Todd Sheets. A lot of
Oh,
Todd
yeah.
Sheets movies pops up in there. People like Cindy DeVille, most of her movies seem to pop up in there, and
I
there's all
remember
kinds
her.
of stuff.
Yeah, it's Todd Sheets is awesome. That's funny you mentioned that. I remember seeing his movies really young. Like I remember his covers. My sister had my sister Tia in her. I remember being in her apartment and she just had them for some reason, like these VHS tapes with the craziest names. And I remember watching them and thinking they were like they looked like home videos, but they were creeping me out because they were so gory. I was like,
Yep.
just never seen anything like that. And
So Paul had me watch for the first episode that we did was Prehistoric Bimbos in Armageddon City, which was Todd Sheets. And so that would be something that's like on those those
Absolutely
things.
Absolutely.
It's just ridiculous. Just
see, since I'm older, I sort of cover like 80s and back to the 50s stuff, and Moody's more, I'd say 80s and forwards, and he knows everybody in the indie business, whereas I know all the folks from the 60s and 70s, and folks are probably dead. But between the two of us, we cover a lot of indie ground, which is good.
That's cool. Yeah, no, you meet in the middle. I love it. And shout out to Todd Sheets, man.
Yeah. Well, I think we met, the middle that we met at was Chris Seaver.
Oh, Chris Seaver, fellow Long Islander.
There you go.
Yeah.
I remember being on Long Island and just being in high school and hearing about him making some zombie movie. Like I had friends that were in bands that were extras in one of his movies or something.
Sweet.
That is awesome.
I totally remember it was one of the Mulva movies, I think.
That's
probably
awesome.
The first one, Mulva Zombie Ass Kicker, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Awesome.
Yeah, I remember my friend was in some crusty
Roshan.
some kind of band. What the hell is that kid's name? Rob something. And yeah, he was like a zombie in it or something.
No, you see, that's the thing, that Chris was able to always get these indie bands and stuff, and people who are to just act in the movies. You know what?
I get. I'm sorry to cut you off. I just thought this, but Chris Seaver, what he was the first person to ever do. I think he okay, hold on. I think I'm onto something. I think because I remember he was the first guy he was making no budget movies, but he had really good professional looking covers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he was the first one. He beat Wild Eye to it, and he was he was the innovator of that, I think.
One of my favorite is there's a series called Anal Paprika. That's the title. And the first cover of it was of John Stamos, and on the cover because he has this picture that is in all of Anal Paprika movies, and I think he even went on to a few of his other movies. But I think it was in Quest for Exile and a few other ones where John Stamos. It was a running joke where he would just have John Stamos's picture in the background somewhere. You'd see it in his movies, and John Stamos actually heard of it, and stuff. Somebody
that's hilarious
asked him about it, and he was like, "I've never heard of this thing, but now I kind of want to find it."
Oh my God.
I mean, how awesome is that?
I love that.
That's indie punk rock,
right? And it's great, and I'm pleased because you know all these folks, and there's a whole world of indie film that's out there that your average person just doesn't know about, and so that's kind of one of the reasons why Moody and I decided we wanted to make Indie Film Cafe to sort of shine a spotlight. We do our regular movie review kind of show, but then we do a spotlight show like this where we get to talk to the people who create these movies, and that's why it's really important for us, so we get to talk to them, but we get to shine that light on you guys so that everybody gets to know who you are.
Yeah, and we talked to Chris. We've interviewed Chris too, and he is he's not what you would think, because he actually, like, a lot of his movies he's not happy with, or whatever.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
his
yeah.
own worst critic.
Yeah. Do you feel like that sometimes? Do you like look at your work and you're like, oh, I
Yeah,
wasn't happy.
I always look back and say, I wish I had more money and I wish I had more time. Always. And I'm like, yeah, because I feel like if there's anything I get better at, it's editing. You just do it so much and so often, editing, that I just get better at it. And I like I look at my documentary, and I'm redoing that now when I re-release the Van Beber doc. And I just interviewed Joe Bob Briggs for that too.
Nice.
So yeah, I was like, the movie needs some more some more good talking heads in there. And Joe Bob's always been a champion for Van Beber. So he gave a really good interview. And
Nice.
but anyway, yeah, I went way off target, I think. So I apologize.
No, it's understandable, but like, yeah, that's really cool that you're able. So you're George Lucasing yourself in a way, like kind of going back and trying to fix the, like whatever, fix it up. And is Van Beber gonna shoot first?
Yeah, I like, I feel like I've discovered more things. Like I found the first music video that he ever directed, and it's shot on 16. It's beautiful, and it's like never been seen. Like tracked that down, and like some crazy zombie movie he was in Ohio, and they did effects for. Just found all this other shit. Did some more interviews, and then mine and his relationship. Like I've known Jim for a long time now, so I've worked on his, and he's still working, of course, So yeah, I just there's more there. There's more to the story, and I think I can tell it better.
That's awesome.
So, do you mind if I ask you another thrust question?
Please, let's thrust away.
All right, do some thrusting.
Yeah.
As I'm sure you're aware, it tends to be much different situation directing your own material than it is directing somebody else's material, somebody else's story. How were you able to sort of take the story that you saw and interested you, and then work your vision into what thrust is going to be?
Awesome question. Well, so yeah, when I first read it, I was like, I think I would just initially wanted to do a short. I was like, oh, I'll just keep this nice and short. And I started like writing the script out, like just kind of transferring it, like adding things here and there that you would do to a script. And then the more and more I'm like, man, this could go deeper. What if we just made crazier people and added more? And then I talked to Hannah, and she was just cool about it. Like, it would, the original story is still always hers, and it's still based on that. And I think it's just it was a great launching pad. It was like the ultimate, what's the word? Ignite, it like got everything going. And then it just went from there. And then the thrust world just like grew and grew. And then after a while, it was interesting too, because like I've kind of written with people before. Like when I worked at Media Blasters, we kind of all wrote a script together, and it was kind of weird. And the thing never got made anyway. But this time too, like Erin came on board as a writer, and she really like helped like a lot too, and gave it more of a, because I think when I wrote the script too, I think it had a bit of a male gaze over it. I'm a male, and the leads are two females, and the majority of the characters are, and and it's a heavily casted woman cast, and it just felt right to have her go through it. And
and I definitely got like a female empowerment vibe coming off of the trailer too.
Totally.
And I was going to ask you about that, because typically that's not the sort of thing you get from a lot of male directors or male writers, because they just don't have the authenticity to be able to write behind that.
Well, right on. Yeah, no, it's total fucking woman empowerment. And yeah, man, it's like they're running the show. It's their turn, you know.
Yeah.
The basis is men just fucked everything up, man, and they had their
As
chance.
they as they have,
As they have,
Yeah.
yeah, and they've had their shot, and now there's like only a few left, and the remaining few are slaves, and and then there's like one scumbag left. He's like the just the epitome of everything awful, and he's like Gollum, but like a dirtbag man.
Dirtbag Gollum. I love that.
Yeah, he's like I don't know how to describe him. Like the worst, you know, just starting out mafia boss meets Gollum. Yeah.
So is that Dirtbag Mike? Is that
Dirtbag Mike, yeah.
yeah? And then, well, Dirtbag Gollum would have been a great title, like a
Dirtbag
title, like
Gollum.
Yeah. Yeah.
for him. But that's awesome. So do you feel like, I mean, and understand like if you don't feel comfortable, kind of saying this, but like being a male director directing a woman empowered movie, did it feel any weird like that people were gonna like be upset sort of that like a male was doing this thing, like you were gonna get like a lot of attack from that?
You know, not at first, but yeah, now. Yeah, you know,
Now
I
that I
feel
said
like,
I'm sorry.
yeah, no, that's cool. You know, it's you know, I feel like, yeah, I think it'll be more positive than negative. I feel like it's gonna
Good.
piss off a lot of people on the conservative side of things.
Oh.
Um, yeah, and you know, and that's cool. Like, you know, there's definitely um you know, I'm friends with everybody and political backgrounds, you know, I don't care. Like I try not to let that shit get between friends, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But my views are my views too, you know, and I think sometimes you just can't hide that shit. So yeah, I think I hope they're not mad. I hope they see it as like a, you know, like I'm an ally. You
Right.
know,
I,
and
I I I was only asking because like some
yeah,
people might, say that shit, and it's sort
sure.
of a little bit annoying because then it's just saying that like male directors can't direct anything that have women in it or something, as the lead, and I don't
Right.
find that to be fair.
Right. And
Yeah.
especially because, you got to look back, and for a lot of films, whether it's Hollywood or indie, women tend to be little more than the sort of window dressing. They don't really get a chance to be fleshed out. They don't get to have the really solid three-dimensional characters. They don't get to show the kind of growth arc that you would in a typical male heroic type character. And I think that there's sort of I don't want to say an implicit bias, but there's sort of an assumption that men can't write that sort of role for women. But it's been shown time and again that there are men. Because I mean, love him or hate him, Joss Whedon did a very good job with that, with Buffy and her character. And there are other male writers and male directors who can do that.
Mhm.
It's just that the ones who did nothing more than put women in shower scenes to be ogled at, for the boob shot, they kind of sort of painted everybody into that one sort of corner, and it's not true.
Well, you know, like I grew up like I think most of my movies, like the female is the protagonist and the, you know, the hero. And I growing up, I just always respected women more for some reason. I My mom was an awesome mom and I respected her. And I had two older sisters that were a big inspiration on me and a big influence. And um like I love women wrestlers growing up.
Oh
I was
yeah,
a big fan of
fun.
them. And yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm like, and that was cool. Like I got to work with a lot of wrestlers on Thrust because I'm a big wrestling fan. And I got into, since moving to Dayton, started filming a lot of indie shows and kind of got thrown into that world a little bit. And I've filmed some awesome stuff and some, you know, awesome matches and stuff. And then, but wrestlers, I always thought were really good actors, and they're also like built-in stunt people.
Mhm.
Sure.
And they know how to take a punch, they know how to throw a punch, they know how to fall, they know how to emote. And you know, they're just I don't know. I always love wrestlers. They have a lot of patience and So I cast a lot of wrestlers all the time.
I hear you. When I do a lot of photography, and I've worked with a lot of female subjects, and I've always found that dancers were really, really good dancers and actresses because they know how to present themselves. They know how to physically move, how to move themselves and everything, and they know how to take on a role, which is basically what modeling is. And
Yeah.
wrestlers are very similar. They pretty much have to act in their thing as well. So, are you familiar with Stro? Do you know Stro? He's a friend of ours, a wrestler.
Oh, is he like a blonde guy? He's got like curly
Yeah.
Yeah,
hair.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I do. I've seen him around, seen him on flyers, and yeah.
Good. We
Yeah, he's
actually
a
work
big
with him
guy.
a
He's a
lot.
big
Yeah.
guy, right?
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
big guy.
Yeah.
We work with him a lot, actually.
Oh,
So
right on.
he's a really great guy.
Oh,
And
cool.
so yeah, we were when you mentioned wrestlers, yeah, he'd be somebody you would love to work with, I'm sure.
That's true.
Uh,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. Cool hit. That's awesome. I bet he can act. So
yeah, I'll
you know,
definitely I'll tell him to add you at some point because
yeah,
you'll
please. I'll find him for sure. I don't do much social media these days. It's like, it's like repetitive. I go on there, it's like the same thing. And I'm like, all right, gotta take a break again, So
it's really the thing is if I didn't have to market all my shows and all the stuff that
right.
I do and
Yeah.
everything and market my film stuff as well. Like if I didn't have to do that, I wouldn't be on social media much,
Yeah.
or whatever. I don't think, because it just gets so obnoxious, and I'm getting tired of just scrolling by and people have this opinion and if you don't like it, you can get off their page, and shit like that. I'm like, this is not the way things used to be when MySpace existed, like, I don't know. I miss MySpace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
MySpace.
I hear you. I pretty much like to do my whole weird cow shtick and just kind of go on there and be weird and silly and share
Yeah.
cow jokes and animal videos, and I do some political stuff too now and again, because you can't live in this world without having that seep into every aspect of your life no matter what, but
Right.
try to keep it to a minimum. And
Yeah.
again, like when he says promote the show, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right on.
So anyway, I want to ask real quick because we kind of talked about the cast a little bit. We mentioned
Yeah.
people, and you got Linnea Quigley in your movie. Oh my god,
Yay.
just love Linnea.
She's the best. I've been making movies with her since I was like young. Yeah. College.
She keeps
Nice.
asking me when I'm gonna work with her, but I just don't have anything.
Please.
I want to. When I get something for her, I'm casting her, but
And she's very pro critter, which I approve.
She is. She owns a lot of dogs and cats and rescues animals, and that's her passion. Linnea is one of a kind. She's one of my best friends, and I have to always put her in everything I do. Getting her in Thrust. Can we tell the Linnea Thrust story?
Sure.
Please.
Because it was fucking wild. It was the first day of shooting, actually. So, we talked and talked, and it was hard. She was so busy, like the last 2 years. She was doing conventions and movies, and she was been busy. And so, like, trying to get her, I'm like, I just need you for a day. I need you for a day. So we worked it out. She ended up she had 2 events in the Poconos at this drive-in. One weekend, she was doing Joe Bob's thing. Joe Bob had like a drive-in thing. And then she was like a judge there for like the films that were playing. And then the following weekend, it was like a VHS thing. And I think she was there for that too. So she was like a guest 2 weekends in a row in the Poconos. And I was like, okay, I used to live in the Poconos with Screamer Claws. And I was like, fuck, man, like, I'm going to the Poconos. Can we get you for one day? You got to have like one day off. And we worked it out where I just drove to the Poconos and by myself, and the costume designer, Batanya Grant, who's amazing, made like Linnea's outfit, just didn't trust sending it in the mail. And then it was like, she was like down in the wire. She fucking flew from Florida to the Poconos. I picked her up at like 1 a.m. then it was like that hurricane was happening. So we had to move the time up to like 6 a.m. So then we had to have a guy come in on a bus that night. He had no place to stay. It was just crazy. We had Linnea for this amount of time, and we literally shot through this hurricane. And that's why it's all raining in her footage. But she's Mother Nature, and that's her character name. So
Nice.
we just wrote it into the story.
That's awesome.
She can make it rain.
I am dying to interview her at some point. We got to get her on the show. There's a video of her riding around a car with Donald G. Jackson and Conrad Brooks talking about independent film and the people that they know, and seeing that, like, my head exploded because they're three of my favorite people of all time. And how the hell did that happen? I'm dying to know.
That's crazy. And you know what's funny is that name, Kenneth G. Jackson.
Donald G. Jackson, yeah.
When I posted the trailer for Thrust, it's probably still up there on my wall. Somebody, I think it was Eric Spudik, who's awesome. I love that guy.
Oh, I love Eric. Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote on there, this looks like Donald T. Jackson.
Yeah.
And I the name didn't click. I'm honest. I was like, who's that? So I like Googled it. And I'm like, oh, Hell Comes to Frogtown and Rollerblade.
Rollerblade's awesome.
And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Okay, I dig that.
And we've been covering a bunch of his movies because I'm a giant fan of his, but also Conrad Brooks, who of course goes all the way back to the Ed Wood movies. Stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
He was actually at Horror Find when we were there. I got to meet him as well, and I had been talking to him for like years, before then and whatnot, because I was trying to make a B movie and stuff, and unfortunately it did not happen. You know how it is, or whatever. Yep. People things just don't work out, and I hope one day I'll do it, but it'll be a different script, but it will be, hopefully I'll do it. But anyway, I was so excited to like just meet him and everything, and I'm glad I did, because unfortunately he's passed away, and it's such a bummer. But he's like I think he was one of the last of the Ed Wood guys, to be around. I think was it the guy who played the lead, the Jeff Trent guy, I think he might have just passed away, sort of. If he didn't, I'm sorry. I think I read that somewhere though. But yeah, so it's really crazy to know that the Plan 9 people, aren't even around, and that was like, the kind of Ed Wood, the movie Ed Wood was the movie that sort of inspired me to get into it, indie filmmaking. And everything.
It's such a good movie, man. It's definitely
funny. You would have laughed at us because when I helped Moody move out to LA, we drove out there, and most normal people, they go out to LA and they start looking around for stars. They look for Will Smith and Julia Roberts, stuff like that. We're looking at Ed Wood's old place where he used to live. We're looking at Ray Dennis Steckler. We're looking at those people because they're the people that I was interested in.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's what was cool about working at Media Blasters, is I learned about they put out the Steckler movies.
Yes,
so
awesome.
People like that I wasn't well versed in. I got to see. It was cool.
Have you seen Rat Finka Boo Boo?
Oh yeah, dude.
Great
yeah,
movie.
we put that out. It was like it was in a pack. Yeah, it's so weird. It's like, what is this title?
Such a great movie. And I'm so glad I actually got to talk to him and interview him about 6 months before he died.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a bucket list thing for me. So, and that's the thing. That's one of the reasons why I like to do those kind of movies on the shows, because, those guys are all gone and they're all starting to fade into obscurity. And, you hate to see that,
I know. It's sometimes you're like, I think of these guys, I'm like, is that guy still alive? And sometimes I'm, a lot of times they're not. I'm afraid to look into it. I saw a guy the other day. I still haven't looked into it, so I don't want to say who it is. But I was like, I don't know if they're alive anymore. And I was like, that's so weird. It's crazy.
It's a bummer, especially because you look back at the stuff that you loved, in the 80s and 70s or whatever that, you grew up loving. And then all of a sudden you find out like nobody in the cast is still alive in the movie that you enjoyed.
Or even more, people don't even know have seen the movies that, there's a very, very small audience out there that even knows who you're talking about.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's what makes our show, the Indie Film Cafe show, fun, is because Paul will find those ones that are more obscure and harder, and I had to mix it up with ones that are a little bit more popular or something, but they're still indie films, whatnot, because, so many people watch these shows, they might be looking at something, they might be like, what is this Rat Finka Boo Boo movie I've never heard of, but then they'll look and say, oh, Birdemic, Shock and Terror, you know what I mean? Like you have to kind of do like the is a little bit of the popular ones, because otherwise people might not come to the show because they don't know what any of these movies are,
Right.
So also, given to the fact that Thrust, so when is Thrust coming out? Like, do you have a set release date yet, or?
Well, as of today, I have little over an hour of a rough cut done, and that's like a rough cut with final music, and and I'm like making the audio better and stuff, and so it's like a solid rough cut. So my goal is to have it done by May 1st, to have the final rough cut by then.
Nice.
And then there's a festival I want to submit it to, and that's by like the 14th. So I'm giving myself that time, and then I think I'm gonna have like a little secret screening of it, at like my house or something, and just show it to people, get some like, cast and crew, and get some like criticism and stuff, and then fine tune it. And I want to have it out this summer. I want to get it to the people who, contributed and paid for it, and get that out, and then start doing screenings and stuff, and go to indie theaters. I think that'd be fun to like go around and screen it at a bunch of places.
And will there be a DVD/Blu-ray release?
There is, yeah. So yeah, we did for the Indiegogo. That was one of the things we like pre-sold it, but I'm going to get more made at the same time. So for sure. Yep.
Are you looking at distribution, or are you going to distribute it yourself?
Well, we're going to like at the Indiegogo stuff, we'll take care of ourselves. And then I don't know, I'm just going to like start getting like extra special features together and stuff, and start doing that stuff, and just
going to ask about that.
Be prepared and like, get it out there and play festivals and see if I can get into some bigger festivals. I think it'd be a fun midnight movie. I think it'd be like fun at drive-ins and stuff like that, and little indie art houses. And so yeah, I'd love to get it seen, get it out there, get a little word of mouth. I've never done like merch. I'm like, let's do merch. There's a lot of awesome gangs in the movie. I want to make like gang shirts and patches and
nice,
like theatrical posters and fucking,
that is awesome,
mouse pads, whatever.
Team Alo versus Team Vera.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're on the same team.
Yeah. So get a coffee mug. I'll buy one.
Hell yeah. Well, do you know who the comic book artist Mike Diana is?
Not offhand.
Well, check out. There's a documentary that is really good that Frank Hendenlotter made with Mike Hunchback, who is in Thrust, and it's on Mike Diana. He was like arrested for his comic books in Florida. It's a really crazy story and really good documentary. Check that out. But he did the cover art for the VHS, because we have a VHS coming out too, and the cover art is just absolutely insane. I don't even know how to describe it. And I thought the other day that it'd make a good coffee mug.
That's awesome.
I was like, I'm gonna make coffee mugs with this on it.
We actually just covered his basket case too, so that's fun. But so do you anticipate that there'll be stuff like commentary? Because You know,
Yes.
as movie fans, we love to hear the stories behind how the stories are made. It just enriches the experience even more.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have a lot of behind the scenes stuff, like a ton. And,
Nice.
Great.
and yeah, and it's like 2 weeks. It was like 20 days of shooting. We'd like 2 full weeks, but like not 7-day weeks, like an 8-9 day, a 7-day week that just kind of turned into, it's like we were going to shoot for 7 days. And then it's like I'm asking the DP to like, can you just call in sick another day? Like we got to do gore inserts tomorrow, so it's a light day, but it's still another whole day. So, anyway, it was like 20 days of shooting, and we were always rolling, and we had some guys shooting behind the scenes stuff some days, a lot of like stills. And yeah, I want to do commentaries. I want to get a lot of the cast in. Like I said, there's a lot of great people in this, and a lot of people I knew, and people I didn't. Like I didn't know Ronnie Jonah, but I wanted to work with her. And
Ronnie's in it?
yeah.
That's awesome. I love Ronnie.
She is awesome. She is awesome. And then sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I met her in Kentucky, and everything. I've been friends with her and Jason for like forever. We've been wanting to work together, and just once again, just hasn't happened yet, but they're on my bucket list, or whatever. And so that's awesome. I'm glad she was in your movie.
Yeah, she was great too. She plays like she's part of this wrestling gang called the Ringworms. And her
awesome.
name is Miss Anthropic, and she's awesome. And she's badass and cool as fuck. And then she introduced me to Jason, who ended up being in Thrust, and he was so funny, man. He plays like one of the cops. I have like my Last House on the Left doofy cops in the movie, and he's one of them, and he's awesome. He's hilarious.
Speaking of Ed Wood, he's supposed to be in an Ed Wood thing at some point if they ever make it. I don't know if they'll make it or not,
wow.
but they're Brandy Mason and Tim and all of them are out there making this awesome movie that's supposed to be like Ed Wood, an Ed Wood movie or whatever, it's supposed to be really fun. And I think he was
awesome.
supposed to play Ed Wood in it. And I'm like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, he kind of looks like he could definitely play him very well. We've seen movies where people played Ed Wood and they didn't look anything and sound anything like
Very
Ed Wood,
true. Very true.
So to find somebody, it's kind of hard, but
yeah. I bet he could pull it off. He was a good actor, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's awesome.
I think it's a smart idea just to go back to what we were talking about with regards to the commentary and the extras and all that, especially for folks like Moody and myself who are physical media people, because while you can get and see movies on Tubi and stuff like that, that doesn't pay the artist very well at all. You're going to make more money back selling the DVDs or Blu-rays, but also that's where you get to get all the extra stuff where you get the making of, or you get stills, or you get all the goodies, you get all the good stuff, all the commentary, and that's what sells the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I love that stuff too. I want to jam pack it. There's nothing fucking worse than a bare bones release, It's like, I love the movie, but I do love having stuff with it. And
I mean, especially commentary, and it's just so much fun to just listen to people talk about the making of it, and what it went through, because we weren't there, and sometimes it helps us understand why certain things might not have worked, or why go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, like, behind the scenes stuff, I love when I see a like low budget movie. Like I'm like checking to see if there's a behind the scenes on the back, and then sold, because sometimes those are even better, and I love watching behind the scenes shit on like indie stuff. It's like some of my favorite shit to watch. And it was like, I remember watching it, one of those Truth or Dare releases, Truth or Dare or Critical Madness.
Tim Ritter
movie. There's like a behind the scenes on I think it's on that movie, and there's like a premiere of it, and it's playing at some little theater in Florida, and they outsell like the other Hollywood movie that's playing. It's like Blink or something like that, some 90s like thriller. And there's a guy comes dressed like Mike Strauber from Truth or Dare, like with a mask and stuff. And like people are coming up to him and he's like signing their movie stubs. And he's just like
That's
a guy. Like,
oh,
like,
he's not even in the movie for real.
no, he's just
Oh.
like a fan that showed up. And I just loved that so much. And it was like, got me obsessed with like the behind the scenes of shit like that. I'm like,
Well,
man, I don't know why it's so great, but it is.
That's great. That reminds me of this footage I found on YouTube that somebody put up, but it was a guerrilla appearance by Ray Dennis Steckler and the whole crew from Rat Finka Boo Boo. They just showed up one day at a local supermarket in costume, started
awesome.
handing out copies of the things, started signing stuff. They signed a band to show up there, and they stayed there until they got shooed away. And that was just like a great thing. And this is like 1966.
I love it. I love it. That's amazing.
that's what you gotta do these days, you know, like nobody.
Yeah.
I feel like nobody does that anymore. You know, everything's all social media. You know, where's the people going out to like colleges and passing out flyers and saying, you know, come check out my movie, you know, or whatever. People don't do that anymore.
I was actually thinking of doing some stuff like that for Thrust, like when it's does it, because I want to do like some Dayton screenings, I think like around here, because a lot of it was shot around here. And there's a couple cool indie theaters, and I work at one, and there's a couple, and they're all awesome. And we shot at one of them. We filmed at one that was super grateful and helped us out a lot. And so I think that'd be cool. And I forgot where I was going with this. Something with flyers, and man, I had a point. I lost it though. I'm rambling. Sorry.
Well, were you gonna,
That's
you
all right.
know, were you going to?
Oh,
pass out
like
some
promote it weird. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
about like walking around in like the Oregon district and Dayton with like a megaphone and like wearing like a sandwich board or something. I was like, but then I like wake up the next morning. I'm like, don't do that.
Well, you know, if you got like some of the cast to, you know, go out with you or whatever and hand out flyers dressed up as their characters, you know,
It'd be fun.
people would be like, what the fuck is this?
Or
like,
you know,
let me check it
kind
out.
of be fun as if you made a fake newspaper and it's talking about these weird gang wars going on between
Yeah.
female gangs and
I like
how
that.
it's sweeping the country and what's going on.
I like
Well,
that.
there's this film going on that explains it, and that would be fun.
Oh yeah, I
Wow.
want to get on like Tucker Carlson or something.
That's awesome.
That would be hilarious. I would love to
Promoting
see
like
that.
gangs were taking over and stuff.
I think
What is going on in Dayton?
Yeah, right. Yeah, their gangs are back in Dayton. Oh my god.
So much fun.
post-apocalyptic gangs are in
Yeah, hell yeah.
Dayton.
Oh my god.
That is
funny.
great. Is there
Yeah, we're
anything?
gonna have a ton of shit like that, you know. Like Erin's a great talker. She's a great writer too, and so like she'll be great on commentary. She tells. She's a great storyteller. Yeah.
I could see Tucker Carlson saying something on TV too, saying, it seems to be that someone by the name of Raining Thursday is involved in this.
Raining. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. Oh my God. He would have a field day with all that stuff. You know, he's got like autographs at home. He's got like Spider Babe autograph and stuff. You know, Tucker.
Anyway, is there anything else that you're up to? Like, do you have anything, other projects going on?
I am full thrust, baby. I'm just like, I know what I want to do next. But I'm like, I'm really excited about thrust. I did that short triangle, which was kind of just like, getting the feet wet again. It's like a little short. If you haven't seen it, I'll send you a copy.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, we would love to review it for Short Film Saturday that
Absolutely.
we do. You know?
Cool, absolutely. Yeah, it's like 24/5. That's the one that I threw all my like childhood films in.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll send that to you for sure. And that's Erin's in that too. And that was a fun one. Made that for like no money at all, but it was good. It was like just getting everyone together again and making art felt really good. And it was like, yeah, let's go. Let's make the feature, you know? So yeah, no, Thrust is where it's at. And I think when I'm done with Thrust, like I was saying earlier, I want to go back and I want to re-release that movie Blood Wings, or release it for the first time. And it'll just be an unfinished movie, you know, like I could probably edit it into like a 40-minute, 45-minute thing. And I think rather than it just sit on a hard drive, put it out. And I mean, it's like a full frame 16 millimeter, you know, I don't know how to describe it. It's like Adventures of Pete and Pete on LSD, worshiping
Nice.
Satan.
As you
Yeah.
do.
Huh?
I said, as you do.
Yeah, right. And
Well-
so it's like, yeah, so that, and then I'm gonna redo Diary of a Deadbeat. So
Oh, awesome. Like, I'm
Yeah,
really
right.
excited. Like, I love that you're still looking back at your old stuff and you're working on it, you know, some more, and you're, you know, finally, you know, even if it takes a while, sometimes, you know, it's good to just be like, let's get we just did that. We just wrapped earlier this last year. We wrapped the Echo Lake massacre, which was originally supposed to be a feature, but it just didn't work out, you know, just like you said earlier. People kept moving, or
Mhm.
you know, sadly, like, you know, other things just happening, you know, with
Yeah.
things, and it just didn't work out. And I was just like, instead of just trying to make that, just why don't we just salvage this into like 1 30-minute short, and then
Yeah,
just release
absolutely.
that, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
it gets to a point where you're like, okay, I've been doing this for 5 years or however long, or 4 years, and you're like, all right, you know, I'm moving on in my mind to something else, so might as well just like wrap this up and get it out. And it's still content and still came from your brain, and you know, and it's, I always look at it as like, you know, a lot of people worked on it. Filmmaking is so collaborative,
mhm.
and you know, super collaborative, and that's what I love about it too. And I love hearing what other people have to say, and you know, making it all work. Sometimes you don't agree with them, but you just got to work through that stuff. But yeah, it's collaborative, and again, I'm rambling and I'm losing my original thought, so I apologize.
All right.
It's
it's
okay. It's late
yeah,
tonight,
It's a
so
little
we
late.
get it. You know, we
it's
get
late,
it.
and I came straight from work.
So you probably started work on your brain in a little bit, you know, and everything.
Right. And then I get off here, I'm just gonna go. My editing computer is literally like a foot away, and I'm gonna start editing again, man.
That's good. We're very happy. We're very happy to have you on the show. Like, period. Like, when you asked to come on, I was like, oh, dude, absolutely, 100%. You know, you're one of
Yeah.
those people that you know, we've stayed in contact, but we haven't really been able to. I mean, you've been busy, I've been busy, so you know, I'm just
Yeah.
glad that you guys are out there just making fucking shit. You know, like making stuff. You know, that's just great.
Yeah,
No, it
thanks
means
for
a
coming on
lot.
the show. It was very cool getting to know you, and I can't wait to see Thrust. I think it's going to be a really cool film. I'm very anxious to see it.
No, thank you. I loved your description in the beginning, and no, you guys, Jonathan too. Yeah, like it's awesome. Just you know, it's a crazy world, this weird independent underground kind of world where we're all just kind of making backyard films and you know, playing dress up, and we're addicted to it though.
There you
And you
go.
know, and I love it, you know. Like you were saying, like, you know, Echo Lake, like, you know, people move on. Some people just get families, and like, you know, I have a daughter and stuff, but a lot of people just start families and they just have a different life, and they just don't want to do
Mhm.
this stuff anymore. And that's cool, you know. But we don't, there's something in us that just doesn't grow up.
Nope.
And you know, and I'm
Well, I
happy
mean,
about
I think
that.
most of my thing was like I just had people who, you know, we tried to get things done at times and just things just didn't work out. You know, timing
Yeah,
was
right.
terrible, and the worst thing is having a lot of people in your movies and whatnot. Scheduling is a bitch. So I'm sure
Yeah.
scheduling was a bitch for you too. So you know,
And
like,
COVID really threw a monkey wrench in the plans of everybody making anything anywhere.
Oh my God. And then making it like at that time, and like there was a lot of things that it affected, and canceling flights and
Hmm.
moving shit around and making sure everything was safe. Like it was definitely challenging, but you know, I don't know. Yeah, it was yeah, it made things tough. Scheduling is already tough, and then
Well, you got to figure everything that you overcame during that is got to make the next project that you do a little bit easier.
that's true. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, absolutely. Like we won't have to hopefully deal with that as much or at all, and that would be wonderful.
Definitely.
But yeah,
I'm excited. Like I can't wait to see Thrust. I can't wait to see
awesome.
everything you're doing, period. Definitely when you're done with Blood Wings too. I've been wanting to see that for years. I think hasn't that been in the works since we've known each other? Like
Yep.
pretty
That's like
much.
what, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like almost 13 years old. And I'm like, what, like, let's just put it out. Like, who
Just get it
cares?
done, yeah. Well,
There
that's
you go.
great, like that you have that mentality right there. Like, fuck it, let's get it done,
Like, right. Like, what am I going to do? Get all those people back together? And, it's just not feasible. And it just, there was, it's like almost just like it existed at that time, and it'll be a cool little time capsule to look back at that era, New Jersey, the people I was with at that time. And, I think it'll be interesting. There's a lot of cool people in that too. It's weird. And some people from that are in Thrust, which I love, that there's like still some crossover. There's still some survivors, but yeah, no, I'm so excited about Thrust, guys. Thank you for having me on and letting me ramble. And I'm sorry Erin couldn't get on tonight.
we'll
But
have her back. We'll have her and Allison.
yeah.
It'll be all right.
Yeah, Erin and Allison, they'd be a wonderful guest. Allison, like we were talking about, she's an incredible human being, and we became really good friends after this movie. She's like a super talented actress, and just one of those people that just never stops. She's like, wants to always help, and just a great person on set.
Oh, good.
Positive, like super positive.
I mean, I've known her from Facebook, but I don't really I don't know her well. So,
Yeah.
But it's great to hear that stuff because you just, you never know with people, like some people you might hear something or whatever, and then, they might be completely different on another set, period,
Yeah.
or whatever. But I'm pretty sure Allison seems like a really sweetheart, like sweetheart, just like Erin. So I'm excited to even talk to either of those, either of them, period.
Yeah, no, right on.
And thank you so much. Like you obviously, big influence when I was, just starting out with my indie independent corner radio show. So, I'm glad you're here. Still doing it, man. You haven't given up.
Still floating. No, fuck yeah, man. It's awesome. I'm glad to still be here and happy to be on the show. And yeah, man, we're still doing it. We're there somewhere,
Well, thank
Sounds
you.
great. We'll have to have you come back for another show.
Let's do it. Yeah, when I get Thrust done, when it's done, and I'll get you guys a copy of it,
Yeah.
Taboo.
You guys
We'd definitely love to review it too, if you don't mind,
Yeah, and maybe I'll do a screening if there's any cool spots in Virginia. I'll come down to Virginia and
Scares That Care, baby. They do.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
there.
They do screenings?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Worst comes to worst, come to my house. We can screen it there.
Let's do it.
We have a studio.
Festivals.
Yeah, we have our studio.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So we could just do it there too. So
Hell yeah. I love it. I'm so down.
All right.
I will screen this movie anywhere, in any parking lot. Any driveway.
Sam Raimi screened his at a freaking was Evil Dead stuff at a
bowling alley, wasn't it?
No, it was a grocery store where he worked.
Grocery store. Okay,
that's awesome. Really?
Yeah, you didn't know that? Like when he was doing Within the Woods, which is the short film, he was trying to get financing. They basically he knew where all the outlets were because they worked there. So they're like,
awesome.
like let's set this up, and they did a screening right there, and they got money.
There you go.
There you go.
That's awesome. And then what was the grocery store movie they made?
Yeah,
he didn't direct it, but
Scott Spiegel, he did it, and he actually that was the grocery store, if I believe.
I was just thinking that's what made me think of Intruder. I was like, I love that movie.
Yeah, it was kind of inspired, I think, by the fact that they used to work there or whatever. So
oh, cool.
Yeah. So
right on. I love it.
All right. Well, thank you
Maybe
guys.
sometime we can get you as a special guest on reviewing one of our movies, because we're always looking for an interesting co-host.
Dude, that's what we'll do. We'll make a trip down to Virginia. We'll do like a screening somewhere, and then we'll come on the show. Yeah, hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, that'd be awesome. We'd love to have
That'd
you
be
guys.
fun.
We'll make a trip out of it. I
Yeah.
like doing that. Like, well, might as well. Yeah, I'm driving to DC in like a couple weeks, so it's
Yeah.
not that far. It's like 7.5 hours or something like
Yeah,
that.
we have another show. It's called Film Freaks, and I have a movie. If you haven't seen it, I'm assuming you have. Have you seen American Movie?
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I would love to
Yeah.
hear your take on that, because I think
Yeah.
I think that'd be a fun show.
That's one of my favorites. I love that fucking.
Same here,
documentary.
man. Same here.
Good.
I love that movie too, in fact. So yeah, that'd be a great one to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you once again. And we really look forward to having you back on and chatting with you. And for everybody to see Thrust, we'll post the trailer up here so people can check that out.
Awesome.
If you don't mind,
Oh, please do.
So thank you so much. And everybody, thank you guys for checking this out. Join us in a month for another episode of Indie Film Cafe Spotlight. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.